Welcome in. Latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Go by SEC Mike on the Twitters. And there he is, everybody's favorite cousin Shane, fresh off the golf course. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, we were talking off air.
Mm-hmm.
It's been an off season of doom and gloom is maybe the wrong word, but it's hard to get fired up about the Sooners, but we got reason for optimism coming up. We'll get into that. How about this, Shane? Something we've done previously. We enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to rank the SEC quarterback rooms. So not the starters. I'm saying the whole room.
Yeah.
We've done that before. We've got, and I really excited Shane because I said, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, buddy, but spring has started in the SEC. We got some coach clips here to get to, so we're going to get to that and a little basketball update. So enough of me spieling. How you doing, buddy?
Well, spring is in the air. Went out on the golf course today and shot 26 over. So that's pretty good. 9 holes. I walked in like, what's his name? Aaron Arkansas said, where's the first hole and what's the course record? You know, of course, I went out there and got absolutely destroyed. So I'm trying to think of a good golf name, and I've got it narrowed down between Jack Thickless or Wider Woods. So I haven't quite hammered out which one I want to go by on the course, but it was exciting to be out there. It's good exercise, to say the least, but a couple cold beers, that it made it worth it.
Cousin Tony says mini golf or real golf?
Well, I told my wife, she said, you paid for membership? I was like, yeah, I should have paid for membership at a putt-putt course in Gatlinburg.
And that Cousin Trey says 26 over and 26 beers down.
Yeah, sir. Oh, man, it's gorgeous. It was absolutely – everybody's ready. Everybody's ready. We're ready to get this cold weather out of here. We're ready to crank up the spring practices, like you said. We got that content moving up, and then because right after spring, summer, and guess what's at the end of summer? College football, Mike. So it's the evolution of college football, and I'm ready for some action, man.
Cousin Trey says Heavy Woods. That'd be a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, Cousin Andrew wants to know: can we watch Shane stream his golf on a GoPro?
Oh, buddy, I tell you what, you would have quit after 2 holes.
So, hey, this is all Shane's plan.
Yeah,
finally get John Daly on the show. You know what?
I'm working. I mean, I even shot him a message. John Daly's a tough one to get a hold of, man.
Yeah,
a lot of folks, yeah. Come on, man. If you got any connections, send them, tag them, get them over here. I'd love to sit down and have a cold beer and talk some football and maybe a little golf with the man, the legend.
Yeah, I just think it's, it feels like we're in spring mode already. I think it'll, I don't want to jinx it. Who knows? It'll probably it'll probably snow next week. You know what I mean? But hey, like I said, spring football is here. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. But real quick, Shane, hey, we are still in basketball season.
Yes.
And buddy, just when you thought they were done, how about them dogs, Shane? Beat number 3 Florida last night. Hell of a win here for Georgia, 88-83. There was Florida had a 12-game winning streak in the series. That was the longest in the series history. Georgia snapped it, and thanks to that win, Shane, Joe Lunardi's he's still got Georgia out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
but he's got them in the first 4 out, so they're right on the cut line. Man, what a huge win! And again, as if anybody needed any further evidence. I mean, this doesn't invalidate Florida at all. They're still, in my mind, they'll probably be a 1 seed. But this should give you an indication of just how damn good the SEC is at basketball now, where we got a team outside the NCAA tournament just took down the number 2, number 3 team in the country.
Don't we do this? I think we do this. If like a top 5 team loses, we're like, that just shows you how good the league is, you know? And if there's pull off an upset or if there's a blowout, say that's why they're on top. So yeah, it feels like the same narrative, but this does go to show that it's not settled. I think that's the important part. A lot of times it's settled by this point in the season, and we kind of know who's in, we kind of know who's out. But no, I think there's pure chaos until we get to the tournament, and then that's going to be the icing on the cake. So I'm looking for. What's Georgia's next games? You got it by any chance?
Yeah, real quick though, we got another one from Cousin Cotton here. Shane, he says, "How about Phil Mickelson?"
Ooh, yeah. But I like Phil. I like that. That's good.
All right, here's the rest of the slate for Georgia at Texas.
Yeah,
winnable, but again, certainly not a guarantee. At South Carolina, I think they've won one conference game, and then Vanderbilt at home. Vanderbilt's awesome in Nashville, not so good on the road. So
yeah,
hell, 3 winnable games for old Georgia. If they can if they go 3-0, they might be in.
Do it. Just do it. You know, I mean, if we're going to do it, if we're going to claim that this is the best conference right now, maybe ever, I think we've got to have a team like Georgia get in there, you know, to kind of validate what we said and maybe even go deep. You never know, man. You get in the tournament, you just never know. And Georgia may be one of those teams that just catches fire.
Yeah. And then number 5, Tennessee, Shade went on the road, beat LSU 65-59. A little bit closer than it probably should have been, but who cares? No one's going to remember. They just remember if you win or lose. Tennessee's won 6 of the last 7 games, Shane. So the Vols heating up. It's always hard to win on the road in this league, even against the bottom of the barrel. That's what LSU is right now. But Tennessee gets a win, and they're still alive. Here's the updated standings here. Still alive, I think, for the double bye in the SEC basketball tournament. Yeah, they're right there. They're on the top 4. So it's Auburn, Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee right there for the double byes. Missouri's right there too. So Texas A&M, which was there last week, but they're out now, but still very much alive. I mean, this is like a brawling match over here.
I love it, man. I love it. It's you know, and I was just thinking Tennessee beating LSU. It's like, yeah, this is what you're supposed to do with teams.
Yeah.
Tennessee, if you want double byes, you got to go out here and do this. And but then on the flip side, you got the Florida Gators kind of tripping up. Bama's tripped up here lately. Yeah, that's just the nature of this game right now, but it's coming to an end. You know, you can feel it. I mean, March is right around. I was out there today in spring. It felt like March was already here. Yeah. So it is right around the corner, and that's when shit gets serious.
Well, I got serious for old Mississippi State last night, Shay, because Alabama whooped that ass 111 to 73. Shay. Alabama hit 22 3-pointers, 22 of 45. That's insane. And led by 26 at halftime. Shout out Mark Sears, 21 points, 10 assists. Chris Youngbow, 27 points. Alabama, you're right. They lost 2 in a row, but they won 2 in a row since. They're getting hot. And how about this, buddy? Next game, Saturday, Tennessee, Alabama, battle for a 1 seed potentially. And certainly I would think the winner is going to be guaranteed that double bye in the SEC tournament. It's Alabama at Tennessee.
Home field advantage, baby. I love it.
And then one more.
But again, with Tennessee, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's been kind of a bad year for some home games that they were supposed to win, or we hope them to win. So I'm looking forward to that matchup for sure.
Yeah, and then there was one more, Shane. Mizzou, speaking of whipping that ass, they whipped South Carolina's ass 101-73. Shane really kicked this damn thing off. They're 18-1 since Cousin Shane's been up there for a home game. How about that? This is the most points given up by South Carolina the entire season, Shane. And this is twice now. Missouri's went over 100 points in the last week. And they've done it 4 times this season. So, damn, Missouri's red hot too. I know they just dropped a game, but I think, again, that's just the strength of this league, going on the road at an emerging Arkansas team. I don't knock them for that. So, Missouri, another team that can make a deep, deep run here in the tournament.
Just had to get them going, you know, just out here doing the Lord's work. That's what I was doing up in Mizzou. So, yeah, but again, we got games on right now. Absolutely electric. And, you know, you're looking at an Auburn team that has a lead, but you could say, would it blow your mind if they lost this basketball game? Absolutely not. So he's right. The road games are extremely tough. That's one thing I have noticed in the SEC this season.
Let me ask you this, though, Shane, because since you've been kind of like the lucky charm for old Mizzou, and I have no idea, I'm just making this up on the fly, but I have been in NCAA tournament games there in Knoxville. if it's and again, I have no idea. I don't think it's going to be in Knoxville this year or anything. But if Missouri's playing an NCAA tournament within like a 2-hour radius of your house, are you going to go to it?
So it's all about proximity. Yes, Mike. If it is in Knoxville, I will be there without a doubt. And you can't miss me. I'll be the one wearing orange.
Yeah, like what if they have it up in Bristol or something? I don't think they've ever had one up in Bristol, but
you can find stuff to do in Bristol. I mean, I like the race up there. Obviously, that's not going to be going on, but there's a nice little bakery up there. If you ever get up to Bristol, there's 2 places you want to check out if you're ever in Bristol, Tennessee. Actually, 3 now that they got a casino. Tennessee will not put casinos in the state of Tennessee, but by God, you go to any state line, you're going to find one. And apparently there's a Hard Rock up there. I've not been up to it yet, so we'll probably have to check it out. But if you go up there, I think it's called Blackbird Cafe. And if you like desserts, man, you're in heaven. I walked in, there was just a big old line of just fancy desserts, and you get you a lunch tray like you're in high school, and you just say, I'll take that. And they say, that's going to be $85. And then you go over there and you eat a fourth of it and throw it out, because by the time you try everything, you just can't. And I'm a professional, Mike. So it did pain me to throw. So be careful when you're in there, because sometimes your eyes are bigger than your stomach.
Yeah. And if there's one thing we can trust you on, Shane, it's food places to go eat. You know what?
Now, this is controversial. And if there's some East Tennessee folks on here, there's a Ridgewood barbecue not too far away. Now, Ridgewood gets this infamous, like, you got to try it, like it's the best or whatever. Right. And not a sponsor of the show, nor will they be after this.
Oh, no.
But it is overrated. But they do have a cheese dip that is fantastic. So while you're waiting on that subpar barbecue, at least you got something to dip your crackers in.
Yeah. All right. And then real quick, the games tonight. We got the games tonight, too, in SEC. Shane, Ole Miss at number 1 Auburn.
Yeah.
Real opportunity for Ole Miss to jump up the rankings there. Vanderbilt at number 12 Texas A&M. Vanderbilt, again, they're still like on that bubble. They're currently in, according to Joe Lunardi, but they would need a win like this could really seal the deal for them. Number 17 Kentucky at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Again, Lunardi's got Oklahoma in right now.
They got to keep winning. They got to keep winning.
Right. This would be huge. And then both these teams desperate. These are the 2 teams. He's got them in the last 4 shade. So this basically could be an NCAA elimination game. Texas at Arkansas.
Yeah, buddy.
That's going to heat up. And remember, Calipari, I don't think he was really doing the hordes down, but he did have that signal during the game. Remember? And I remember that went viral. So could be some payback. Who knows?
Absolutely. I mean, 2.5 spread on both of these games right now. And I'm looking at that Auburn, 10 points right now, but it's still early. So Auburn can either pull away or Ole Miss can get back on track. So,
hey, geez, Louise says, what in the world? Shane slamming a restaurant?
Yeah. I mean, when you've had so many, I mean, you got to listen. It's not that I hate Ridgewood barbecue, but I just felt like it was put on a pedestal. And I've heard about it for a long time. And so I was like, when I had the opportunity to go up there, they shave the barbecue, and I've never had that. So maybe that's why people like it. It's unique, but just again, it was good. The sauce was good, but not worth the, I think that's the problem. It's like waiting. Sometimes when you wait at a restaurant, I told you this before, we've talked a lot of stuff about food, but you wait too long, it kind of takes away. I feel like sometimes when you hear too much of a restaurant, it kind of builds it up. And so you're thinking this, and even though this is fantastic, like if I would have just pulled off the side of the interstate and had Ridgewood barbecue and nobody told me about it, I say it's great. It's fantastic. I'd recommend it to my friends. But since I've heard about it for the last 10, 15 years, when I got there, it's here and it landed there. So that's why I'm bashing it.
So yeah, it's one of those deals where you just, you put it on a pedestal is what happened.
Yeah. I worry about, because there's other barbecue places that I hear about that, especially like out in Memphis, and we're talking about doing a Memphis trip sometime. There's some out there that I've just heard, and I'm afraid that when I get out there, it's like going to disappoint. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Real quick, and then we can move on from non-food topic, unless we just want to keep talking food. But Liquid, shout out Liquid. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, have y'all ever done one of those eating challenges at a restaurant? I never have personally. How about you, Shane?
No, never have. I know that looks, but I felt like I have. Have you been to a Brazilian steakhouse? That feels like a competition, me and the ticket. It's like, I know what the price is. So we went, speaking of Memphis, we were down there to Texas Day, Brazil. First time I ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse. I think I've told this story before, but I'll keep it quick. We go in there and I realized the trick is avoid the buffet. Don't eat the cheese and all the soups and all that stuff. That's what they want. Wait for the meat. Get your coaster going. But the problem was I'm with my wife and she eats like a bird. So I feel like I've got to put down $100 worth of food here. So immediately that coaster turned green and it became a competition. So we should probably try it. Actually, probably shouldn't if my doctor's listening, but sometime we should probably try at least one or two. I think you pointed out one down in Orlando when we were down there. It was like a pizza place. But pizza is one of those that I could probably put away a record there.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to get $100 worth of meat, just so you know what I'm saying. No one's forcing you. No one's forcing you.
And I want to say that it got to a point where I was like, no chicken, no pork, just steak. Let's just keep it to the high dollar stuff. And of course, that guy never wants to come to your table. Where's a tenderloin guy, I
don't know how to transition from that, but again, here it is, buddy. I hyped it up. So, unfortunately it's not, maybe a team, even their fans are excited about right now, but Kentucky, Shay, they have opened spring football. Yeah. And how about this? This is catching some buzz. I'll throw this up on the screen. They got blue collar, Shane. They're wearing the blue collar.
I thought he was walking on them things there for a second. I was like, damn, they're already injured up there in Kentucky. I'm sorry.
No, it's not that. It's not that. But this is a step removed from old, Chad Morris and wearing the sweatsuits. So our buddy Nick Roush does a hell of a job. Was not going to let this go unnoticed. What's the deal with them blue collars there, Mark Stoops?
All the blue collar shirts in the weight room. How much of the work and how much is that as part of the off-season messaging is stressing
I think it's very important. Just, again, be very upfront with them, be very clear, define exactly what we're looking for, and hold them to those expectations, and them holding themselves to that, to the standards that we set for them. And they're doing that. And that's all we could do is attack each day. And, that you could go back probably to my first press conference and I'm saying these same things, right? But that doesn't mean they're always going to happen, right? We know the concentration, the focus has to get back to making sure, that we don't sacrifice in any of these areas. It's a tough, tough business we're in. It's a tough league. It's going to be a tough schedule. So the only thing we can manage is the day to day, and attacking that day. And I've talked about this before, like if you look at it as an entirety, there's so much to do, but that's good. That gives us a bunch of juice, a bunch of energy, that there's so much to do today, like truly, and like attacking that day. And that's kind of the excitement around the building and with the players of like, let's be on tilt today. Like let's be 4th and 1 today. And,
4th and 1, Shane. Are you buying it? I mean, this sounds, again, this is gimmick. This is a guy that's been down there for 14, 15 years now, and we're getting gimmicky here.
Yeah, feels a little Butch Jones-esque, 1% better champion of life, blue collar. I get it. Roll up your sleeves. That's what you think of when you hear Kentucky. I mean, that's what they make fun of you when you lose a game. And there's some hard workers, some dedicated fans up there, and they demand, I don't want to say excellence, but they demand a lot better than they've been receiving the last 3 years. And Coach Stoops, there's nothing, absolutely zero things he could tell me at the podium that's going to make me feel better about last year or this upcoming season. So maybe the blue collar mentality is exactly what you need, because the world's going to be against you. Everybody is going to be putting you down. Everybody's going to be talking hot seat coming into this season. But Mike, I'm telling you, Kentucky, come out here, blue collar-esque, and whoop some ass just as a team. And maybe we can keep Coach around for another season.
The only one, Shane, that I think can lift the spirits of Kentucky fans right now?
Who's that?
JR,
it
come
JR?
on. JR's back again. This time he's gifted. I am a Karen. So I am a
Oh.
Karen. Welcome
Welcome to the family.
Courtesy of the legend JR. Man, what a guy. What a guy here, Shade. But man, yeah, I don't know. That's not making me feel any better. It's really not.
No, but it's nice that spring ball has started, though, isn't it? You know
And we
what
got
I'm
one more. It's a little excusey too. A little bit
Okay.
better. He's not giving us much these days. I think he's over it. But here's Mark Stoops on their portal class they just signed. Now they went heavy. They went all out in the portal. They landed like 20 some odd guys, maybe
Right.
close to 30. So, but they did not that many last year, but they did add key portal guys last year. Why is this year going to be any different than last year when you added all these portal guys? Here's what Stoops had to say.
Talk, Vince Dillon on your coach's show about the previous transfer portal misses. What makes you confident that this group of transfer portal players can be what you need them to be?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair, question and assessment. I don't think ever, with the way we have worked this roster since I've been here, things change and evolve, obviously. And, the ability to select the right teammates, to select the players that fit your program is always important. And when you're hitting on the portal, it's vitally important because you're hitting free agency, essentially, with 1 year guys or feeling a player to hit a certain position, to come in and start and compete in this league and fit our culture and play at the level that you want to, it is difficult. I think we have to do a great job of selecting the right teammates, and you have to have the right resources, and it's funny still talking about that, but it is what it is, right? You have to have the resources and I think as you have better resources, your selection can be better, and have the ability to get higher quality. And hopefully we did that. I feel very good. Let me just say that about the 31 guys that are in here and the 20 portal guys, I could not be more pleased. Obviously when they're coming in here during the recruiting process, very clear with them that we didn't meet our standards this past year. So basically don't come into this program if you're not willing to do those things.
All right, Shade. So the key thing there, excuses. But hey, real quick, JR, he gifted another membership, Shane. And this time he's hitting up Tim Lawson, Big Blue fan. Welcome to the family. Courtesy of he's doing what he can to lift up the spirits of old Kentucky Nation up there. So thank you, JR. What a legend.
Lawson deserves better, but JR definitely brightened his day. So
I can't believe it, Shay. I mean, again, Mark Stoops complain. I mean, that's all this guy's doing is complain about resources.
yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. He said, this is a football school. And then I don't know if you remember this, but he was complaining, I got to do all the fundraising myself. They're not helping me. This is taxing, blah, blah, blah. Well, last I checked, Shane, they went out and got a portal quarterback last year.
Yep.
A complete bust. They got a starting linebacker, middle linebacker from Georgia,
Yep.
who he was not, not a bust. But again, you don't get they got a running back from Ohio State that made no impact. He got banged up. They got offensive linemen. It's very, very, very difficult to get offensive linemen out of the portal because everybody wants them. He can't act like they were not helping him before. And it's not on whoever's giving the NIL money to give more to help Kentucky when you're winning 4 damn games and 1 SEC game. So you can't have your hand out after that and say, well, we just don't have the resources. Well, you got to figure that shit out. I don't think they got many resources at Vanderbilt, and they whooped your ass last year.
Coach Stoops does this to me, man. It's like one end or the other. When everything's going great, he's hilarious. He's fun. He's just a good guy. Like, I can't wait to play more of Coach Stoops clips. But when things are down, it's the woe is me. It's the finger pointing. It's like we've seen those kids in recess. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hit me. It's like, shut up, man up, Coach Stoops. Everybody's getting punched out here. So come out here, stop whining, stop complaining. The sky is not falling. You're still one of the head coach at the premier, SEC programs. And has Kentucky been there the last 3 years? Absolutely not, but they have been there. And I feel like that's the thing is it has been proven. We've seen it work. So get on the horse, Red Dead. Get on the horse and man up and fix this thing.
Hey,
Stop complaining about it.
You know who would fix it?
Who's that?
Cousin Gunner. Come on,
Oh,
Cousin
Gunner.
Gunner. He just gifted a membership to Emily Powell. Emily, welcome to the family. Thanks to Cousin Gunner. Man, what a legend. What a legend.
Boy, he's sharp right there. Is that I'm guessing that's a kiddo, right? Maybe that's Gunner. I don't know.
I don't know, but he said he's did that because you put Alabama and LSU as permanent opponents on the last one.
You're welcome. That was for you, Gunner.
But yeah, I mean, this is not what I want to hear day one of spring.
Yeah.
You know, I want some attitude. I want some, we'll get better where, we are. That was last year. Last year was a huge failing. We're going to whoop some ass this year. That's what I want to see from Coach Stoops. And again, it doesn't really matter what he says. It matters what they do on the field, and maybe they can get it there. But I don't know. This, again, I think we're just going to be down on them till they actually hit the field and get that bad taste out of our mouth.
That's it. Wins fix it. And wins did fix it. After they beat Ole Miss, we were back. We were stopped bashing Kentucky. I told you, I was like, I was right the whole offseason, So, but then again, it kind of fell off. So wins replaces mistakes. Wins replace, all the off-season mumbo jumbo that we get caught up with Coach Stoops. So I'm not worried about that. But I know this is looking ahead, but can you pull up their schedule? The only concern I have with Kentucky coming up in 25 is this is a team that's got to hit the ground running. And I when you look at teams like Toledo, I guess that's Eastern Michigan. Is that who that is?
Uh-huh.
So those are winnable games. I hope so. I heard Toledo's not. But, you got Ole Miss looking for revenge, and then the South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee. It's like this team, all this talk, it has to hit week 1 because after your bye, you've got South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida. It does not get easier. And by the time we hit November, if you screwed up right out of the gates, you're gone, or they're going to find a reason to get you out of there. So Kentucky, there's a lot of pressure on this program, but more importantly, there's pressure on them to hit early.
Yeah. So I'm just excited that even if it's Kentucky, come on, give me some spring football. I want some clips coming out of there. The other thing is kind of bad though. They're just like everybody else, man. They're falling in line. No spring game. It sounds like he didn't really commit one way or another. But he said they're going to do something out on the field with the fans, but he said it will not be televised. So I hate it. You know what?
Like it was his decision. This is like, no. We can't even put this on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, ABC. We turned ABC down,
Yeah, we're going to send you a $5 coupon if you watch this spring game.
All right, hey, one last thing though, and this was huge before we get into the quarterback ranking the rooms of the quarterback. Shane, huge news out of Norman today. I didn't see this one coming, certainly, but Jim Nagy hired as GM of the Oklahoma football program. And in case you were unaware, who's this Jim Nagy? Why is this a big deal? Executive director of the Senior Bowl for the last 7 years. And he's been an NFL scout. He is highly, highly, highly regarded. He's made the Senior Bowl kind of like a must event for NFL people, for college players. I mean, there was not that long ago, Shane, college players didn't even really want to play in the Senior Bowl that much. You know what I mean? So I think this is huge for Oklahoma in a wide range of ways. And they said they're going to be using him. A GM is a title you can give someone, but it means many things. And they say recruiting and development, transfer portal, and all those things. And I get all that. I mean, I think he'll do well at all that. But I think the biggest advantage of hiring a guy like this is strictly his contacts.
Yep.
This guy's connected with everybody, literally everybody in the NFL. because they all want to know about these college players. And they come down, and when they do the Senior Bowl, if you're unaware, they have NFL head coaches serve as coaches, head coaches of that game. So he knows someone at every NFL level. He knows someone from all over college football because he's adding players, obviously, from colleges all across, and colleges are reaching out to him to get their players in that game. You know, it's one thing if you're SEC, everybody knows about you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're at Alcorn State, you know, if you're at Hampton or you're at Ball State and you got some great lineman or something, you are all on Jim Nagy to watch your guy, try to get him in your game. So, you know, he's just got contacts all across the sport. And I think that is extremely, extremely valuable for Oklahoma because you can find out through all your contacts with all this NIL stuff, what is BS, what's not.
Yeah.
Is someone really going to pay, you know, $300,000 for this receiver? I think things like that. And if you do have a receiver that leaves, you got a list of over 100 people you could probably call and say, you know, is there a receiver out there you think needs to step up and to come into the SEC level to get to the NFL? Who better to call than old Jim Nagy to bring him to Oklahoma?
Man, this is huge. This is huge. And you're starting to see a little bit more of this general manager. I think was it Andrew Luck, Stanford. We saw Rivera, Cal, and Lombardi at North Carolina. So you're starting to see some of these. But this, if I'm not mistaken, is the first one that's in the SEC. And I think it's like, who better than a guy that helped put I mean, when you look at the Senior Bowl, the 7 years that he's over, there was over 100 kids that went on to the NFL. Guess who's been picking them? Jim Nagy. I mean, he is like one of the main characters of that. And I think that's important with Oklahoma to work hand in hand with Venables. I kind of wonder, I mean, it is an interesting hire. My first knee-jerk reaction was like, well, they can't afford to get rid of Venables. It almost feels like. So it's almost cheaper to hire a general manager that may help him, you know, whereas maybe he's struggling at. And I think that relationship could be very, very beneficial. And like you said, it's very hands-on too. It's not just, hey, he's going to do recruiting and that's it. No, he's going to be very hands-on here. And I think there's a reason for excitement out there in Norman. That they just hit a damn home run, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think Venables, arguably his biggest weakness is NIL and maybe managing a program over, which is that's not something you want in your head coach, obviously. But you know, he's a defensive mastermind. You know, and again, this is just another hire that's going to let him focus more on the defense. And, And you know, he did the same thing with the offensive coordinator and bringing in a quarterback and a quarterback coach that all work together so he can be hands off on that. Let your people, even if it's your head guy, let him specialize in what his expertise. Bring in experts in different areas. That's the ultimate role of a CEO. And even the greatest coach of all time, Nick Saban, even he was smart enough to say, hey, you know what? My way is not really working on offense. I got to bring in Lane Kiffin. And people, I mean, at the time now, that looks like a no-brainer. At the time, that was highly controversial. Many people thought that was going to blow up in his face. And all it did was, you know, turn Alabama from strictly a defensive program to arguably the most explosive, you know, offense, quarterback, receiver university there for about 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where, if we're going to have success, you hit the nail on the head. I feel like you've kind of got to release the reins a little bit. And it was so hard for Venables to do that. He was so focused on that defense, but running it and the entire organization can be daunting, and you can't, there's only so many hours in the day. So bringing a guy like this in that kind of takes a little pressure off of him, I think it opens up doors for him to just walk into the office and say, hey man, I need some more defensive linemen. I need another cornerback. I need, let him focus on that. Let him work on getting money from boot. I mean, there's so many things that he's going to be able to do that Venables is no longer going to be responsible for. But I even think about Nick Saban. Nick Saban just came out not too long ago, and he was talking about the later years, when the reason he didn't come out quite clearly. I'm paraphrasing here, but the reason that Bama was not as successful was because he had to be more involved with the day-to-day operations, especially on the defensive side. So I feel like when you focus too much on one specific side of the football, you lose the overall picture. So, yeah, again, I don't know how quickly this will help. It would have been nice to have him before the first portal, but I do think that this was a big get for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I'm sure they didn't get him, though, that early because he was not going to leave the Senior Bowl hanging.
Yeah.
So they just went through all that. So that would just be my guess. I don't really know, but yeah. So I think that's huge for Oklahoma, and we'll see where it goes from there. All right, Shane, we're about to do quarterback rankings.
Yeah.
But first, if you know how what gave me the spark, the creative juice to do these quarterback rankings?
Cornbread?
Cornbread hemp. Come on. If you haven't checked it out already, cornbreadhemp.com/SEC. That'll get you 30% off your entire order over at Cornbread Hemp. Again, cornbreadhemp.com. Most importantly, SEC at the checkout. Get you 30% off. What is this cornbread you keep talking about? It's THC and CBD. They got different versions over there of gummies. So you take these, you're on a, if I'm a Sooner, I'm taking these tonight, buddy, because I'm celebrating that we just hired Jim Nagy. Or they have a really outstanding CBD sleep gummies. Those are the ones I love. Mm-hmm. Never in my life, Shane, have I really been able to sleep throughout the night. I don't know about you, I'm always waking up like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I'm like, I can't go back to sleep. That's never happened to me when I take these CBD sleep gummies from cornbreadhemp.com. So check them out. A great small business out of the state of Kentucky. They're eating them like there's no tomorrow, because I don't know if there is for their football program, Shane. So cornbreadhemp.com, promo code SEC for 30% off your full order. Again, I promise you'll like you some cornbread hemp. It's a fine product, Shane.
I woke up last night. I should have had some, because I was worried about teeing off. I was afraid in my mind there was going to be 15 guys sitting there next to the tee box as I'm lining up. And what if I just top it 8 yards? I just knew that was going to happen. So, but thank God nobody was out there, and I still hit it only like 50 yards. But I had trouble. So I wish I had a little cornbread hemp last night.
And Cousin Mike says, are these for the youngins? Absolutely not. 21 years of age, you got to be to order these. So take that advice as you will. But all right, quarterback ranking rooms, Shane, and this is different. This is different than just ranking the starters, because hell, we don't even know the starters for a couple of these teams. So that's a little bit more difficult. I'm taking the entire room, and as I do this each year, Shane, I ain't lying, man. This is getting harder and harder to do, because we all know. I mean, if you ain't playing, you're leaving.
Yeah.
And basically, the backups everywhere are either freshmen or transfers. Yep. So take that into consideration, because, I mean, God forbid there's an injury to a key quarterback. Man, the season, I'm not saying it'll be lost, but it's a complete unknown after a lot of these starters as I was doing this list. So you want to start at the top? We usually start at the bottom. I feel like we should start at the top.
Let's do top.
Come on. This one's for Gunner, because he donated. Gunner, LSU #1 quarterback room in the S. And I don't even think this is debatable, Shane. Garrett Nussmeier, of course.
Yep.
Veteran, Heisman Trophy front runner right now, according to the odds makers. Michael Van Buren.
Yeah.
God, was he? I thought he was outstanding at Mississippi State for a true freshman. Now, of course, he's at LSU, and they got Colin Hurley. So they go 3 deep of guys that I think are competent, and particularly 2. One that is a star now, one that I think could be a star in the making, in Michael Van Buren. So any disagreement with LSU as the top quarterback room in the SEC?
No, because Nuss's name's going to float around. Like when we do quarterback rankings later in the year, Nuss will be one that's going to float around with those top 5 in the SEC. And you're going to have, some will have them up high, some will have them lower. But I think you pair it with Van Buren. I think that's the pivotal piece right there. Here's a guy that I thought was making strides to be a very productive starter next year. And he's like, nah, I'm just going to go down here and sit and learn. And I think it's awesome. We don't see much of that, but I think that's very, very important for LSU. And I think it was the right move for sure. Sucks that Swan's not there anymore, because I think that would have made it even stronger. But no, this is a loaded quarterback room.
It's not like Nussmeier can't run, but maybe you could even bring in Van Buren to do some running. Yeah. I know he's a very accomplished passer, so I'm not saying he's just a dual threat or anything, but it gives you some versatility there. I like. Speaking of versatility, buddy, number 2. Now here's where we can go many different directions here, because it's jumbled. There's a lot of good quarterback rooms in the SEC. I'm going number 2, Shane.
Yeah,
South Carolina. Come on, Heisman. Sellers leads the way, of course. Right. Maybe the best player in the conference, maybe the best player in the damn country if he continues to make strides like he did last year. So he's elite. They added a transfer, Air Noland, best name in college football for a quarterback, if you ask me. Cutter Woods is a freshman, touted freshman. And then a couple years ago, they signed a guy, Dante Reno. Not seeing a lot of him, but I believe he was a 4-star. So there's very few quarterback rooms in the SEC right now that even go 4 deep.
Yeah.
I think with the emphasis on Lenora Sellers, I'm feeling good about the Gamecocks having this number 2 quarterback room in the SEC. And hell, we all know it, Shane. Had Sellers not got injured against LSU, they probably would have beat him. And they're going to have an opportunity this year to South Carolina at LSU. If South Carolina wins that game, maybe I move Gamecocks up to number 1. You know what?
Well, I think that's when you're talking about quarterback rooms, it's not just the number 1.
Right.
I mean, this is where you're going to get in trouble, because people are going to say, you think Nuss is better than DJ Lag? You think Nuss is better than Arch Manning? We're not saying, you're not saying, again, I want to preface this. This is Mike's list, not mine. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of people that has Lenore Sellers as possibly the best quarterback in this conference, but you pair it with depth. And there are a lot of uncertainties. I think that's this is where you're kind of getting that murky water. It's like you got to decide if this transfer is better than this transfer, or this freshman is better than this freshman. I feel like that's kind of where we're at, but you can't argue with production with what we saw with QB1 here. I like it. I can get behind it. You can convince me that this is where he belongs, or where they belong.
I think I just did, Shane.
You did.
Okay.
You did. But you're probably wrong. There's 15 other teams, 14 probably, that think you're really wrong.
All right. Now here's a wild card. This is going to catch you off guard. I don't think anybody will see this coming, but I feel pretty confident about it, Shane. Give me Mississippi State, number 3. Blake Shapen.
Yeah.
Who was looking really good, I thought, till he got banged up, lost for the year, and then they had to go to Michael Van Buren. They got a transfer out of Florida State, Luke Kromenhoek. He's the highest rated quarterback Mississippi State's ever had. Mm-hmm. And he played just a little. He was a true freshman last year at Florida State. And then they just signed a true freshman, Camario Taylor. Jane, he was the highest rated quarterback out of the state of Mississippi last year. So, we go 3 deep, and this could be cheating a little bit, but I think it's fair. I'm giving extra credit for Jeff Lebby because he's got an eye for talent at the quarterback position. He gets the most out of these guys. I mean, the list of the quarterbacks he's worked with is highly, highly impressive. Arguably, he's in the top 3 or 4 probably quarterback coaches in the country. Yeah. So I'm giving them a little extra tip of the cap, so to speak.
Yep, this is where you lost me, Mike. There for a second, I thought you were doing from the bottom up again, but no, this is, I think this one's a little overrated in my opinion. And again, I'm not saying that room's not good. I do think that there's clearly room for improvement, but I would argue that if no transfers left, I feel like there would be a quarterback controversy coming into this season. So I guess that's my argument. It's just QB1 right now, and then we're just second guessing on the rest of the roster. So I just feel like there's too many good quarterbacks. I think like an Arch Man. Again, I'm going to keep saying his name, like a Manning, even Tennessee's Nico and company. I feel like DJ, especially, these guys are miles ahead of that Mississippi State quarterback room. So, yeah, I think you missed this one big time.
I don't think you watched Blake Shapen last year is what I think after you make that
I
comment.
I watched him for a few games, and I was like, hey, he may have something, until the other kid came in. I was like, hey, this guy's better. You know? So
what does that tell you?
That they suck. that
they have the best, arguably, Sark is there, Kiffin is there, but they got one hell of a quarterback coach. If you have a true freshman playing in this league, like they did Michael Van Buren, like he had Blake Shapen had 8-to-1 touchdown interception ratio last year. He was completing 70% of his passes. I mean, he may break some records, and that's saying something, because Mike Leach quarterbacks, put up a lot of yards. I think they have the most underrated quarterback coach in the country.
Well, maybe coaching, but we're talking about quarterback room. I get the development side. There's just, for me, there's a lot more deeper rosters. I mean, Georgia is in a quarterback race between 2 to 3 guys that I think as a group, maybe they didn't wow us. Gunner didn't come out here and wow us during the college football playoffs, clearly. But I think there's more talent in that Georgia room than there is in Mississippi State. And we're not even talking about them. We're not even talking
I would guarantee you that the State's quarterback has a better year than Georgia.
Statistically?
Yeah.
Or are we talking drafting?
I mean, either one.
No, I guarantee.
I mean, Gunner's not going to the NFL next year. I would bet you $1,000 right here that he ain't going to the NFL next cycle. If you want to bet that.
I don't want to.
That may be too rich, but
yeah. I mean,
$100.
I had to get a coupon to go golfing today, So,
all right. How about this one? Now here's where you're at. There's more talent here.
Yeah.
Better overall player. Give me Florida, because I love DJ Lagway.
Mm-hmm.
But then the backups is completely. I mean, we got Harrison Bailey.
Yeah.
Who former Tennessee, former UNLV, former.
Yeah.
I mean, he's at a different school. I think he was at Louisville last year. He's been everywhere. I don't know that he could play at this level. He could play, but I don't know if he could play at this level. And then they got a true freshman, Trammell Jones, who he was a 4-star, but we've literally never seen him at this level. So what? Again, this is heavily leaned towards DJ.
Yeah, it's very top heavy.
But that's I think so highly of DJ Lagway. That's why I'm putting Florida up here.
When you're doing this, obviously Mississippi State a little bit of an outlier, but when you're doing these top 5, 6, 7 teams here, I think you have to go to QB1 and think about in your mind how good he is. And then, so right now it feels like you're trying to figure out how good QB2 is, QB3. Is that kind of where you're at right here? It's not saying DJ's better than this guy or this one, but you feeling a little more confident with that Florida, is it just confidence, or is it something that you saw leading up to this season? I'm trying to figure out how your head's working when you look at a transfer, or, like you said, Harrison Bailey. It's like Harrison has had some like momentum. He's had some, hype surrounded him, but he's just never really been able to put it to fruition. So
right.
What made you put this room ahead of Texas?
Mr. DJ Lagway, and we know how awesome he is, and we don't know. Hell, you could say what you want about Harrison Bailey. I'm looking at his stats here, Shane. He's got 10 touchdowns in 5 years in college football.
Yeah.
So, and 4 of them was at Tennessee in 2020. So again, not accomplished. If Lagway, God forbid, something happens.
Yeah.
I think this is the one I was talking about. The season's over.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong, and I don't even want to see that. You know what I mean? But meanwhile, for like Mississippi State, I know you hate the Bulldogs, but if Blake Shapen goes down again, what did we just saw? We just saw a true freshman excel in the SEC. So you're telling me they got this transfer from Florida State that's played, and they got a number one quarterback out of Mississippi. I got confidence Jeff Lebby will get something. And hell, the bar's so low anyway. But if they win a game or two with a backup, that wouldn't stun me. If Florida does with their schedule, that would stun me with these guys. So that's kind of where I'm at with putting Florida a little bit lower. But again, I think DJ Lagway may be the best quarterback in the SEC. I mean, I'm kind of leaning that way.
Okay. All right.
But then this may be the worst backup situation in the SEC too.
I totally get it. I mean, I get the DJ hype and I saw moments of it, but I'm not going to crown him, for 2 or 3 great games, 2 really 2 good games. I just feel like he's still, it just depends on how much development is being done here in this offseason. And I think the roster has definitely improved. I think the coaching staff should be better moving forward, but again, quarterback room. I'm not just saying, man, QBU is down there in Florida again.
All right. How about this one? I don't think you will like this one either, Shade. Oklahoma Jumbateer. Shade wants to know when I'm getting that name jersey. It's on layaway right now, but I got my Mateer jersey coming. I think he could be awesome. Again, new team, but same system for him. So we'll see how that works out. And Michael Hawkins, who, he got rushed in there, but he was a playmaker. Hell, they should have won the bowl game, provided a little spark, but he won on the road in this conference against Auburn. There's very few quarterbacks on this list here, Shane, that have won on the road in a conference game in the SEC. Michael Hawkins is one of them. And then they got to transfer Cole Gonzalez. So this is leaning Mateer. This is leaning Hawkins, who I think could play this season. Obviously not start over John Mateer, but in packages perhaps. I like this room for Oklahoma. I really do.
Well, I mean, I talked to Tyler the other day, and this is a kid that he could not wait to talk about. And yeah, I feel like there's a reason for optimism. I think the coaching situation as well is very interesting, and it's kind of set up for success. And I like Hawkins. I thought Hawkins had moments last year. He just didn't have the help, and it didn't have coaching. It felt like to excel. So this is a sneaky good quarterback room. I like this. I think this is good placement for them. And Mateer, I'd say what you want, man. This is a guy that is picking up a lot of steam, a lot of hype. By the time we have kickoff, I swear he'll be 7 foot tall.
He's starting to come around, Sooner fans. All right, and then how about next? I got Tennessee. Come on, Shade. Yes. Nico, of course, leading the way. Jake Merklinger, who's back for his sophomore season, played a little bit, not very much last year. And then they signed another touted freshman, George McIntyre. So, yeah, the drop-off between the starter and the backups is massive. Yeah. But there's potential there. This is a couple of years of the Heupel system now where even the backup's been there for going into 25, it'll be multiple seasons. I think there's a ton of obviously talent on Tennessee's quarterback room. And I think for each one of these guys, the best is yet to come, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at on 3 24/7, you love this quarterback room. If you play in college football 25, you love this quarterback room. But this is a quarterback room that's got a few question marks, has a world of potential. I think that's the thing for me with this Tennessee is the ceiling seems higher than maybe some of these other QB rooms that we've talked about. But we've seen some low floors from Nico. And I just, for me, if we would have got better production, especially toward the end of the year last year, I feel like Tennessee would have been higher on this list. But it's kind of like a prove it to me thing. But statistically, or if you're just looking at stars, you love this quarterback room.
Yep. And I know you're going to love this next one, Shane, because it features your man crush, Texas. Come on down. Arch Manning, Trey Owens, and a freshman, KJ Lacey. So I don't know much about Owens or Lacey. So that's a big reason why they're down here. And they're starting God's gift of football, according to Shane. So maybe a little bit too low, But this was really, to me, this was a battle of Nico and Mateer and Arch and pinning them head to head to head. And one guy scored 40 touchdowns last year. One guy led his team to the college football playoff, and one guy started against ULM. You know what I mean? So I'm giving the edge to experience, hype. Arch Manning may be the best. He might be the best player in the country for all I know. Playing in Sark's offense, that very well could be the case. But I ain't going to give it to him. He's got to go out there and earn it, and he'll have an opportunity week 1 playing at Ohio State. If they win on the road, then Arch Manning is probably your Heisman Trophy favorite, and all the hype will be worth it.
Man, could you imagine Nico, Mateer, and Arch? Those three couldn't be more different if you were just having conversations with them. They are three different animals. So I'm high on Arch, and this. I feel like this is his team now, and maybe this roster was kind of built for him. And I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be successful down there, and I look forward to it. And I think you're low on Texas. I don't know why you hate him.
Are you buying the hype? I've heard, that he's won over the locker room. This is his team now.
Yeah. Yes.
They hate Quinn Ewers. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, hell, he hadn't even played a real game this year. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to carry that, but I've also seen him in some interviews. He does have a personality. Some of the Mannings, they didn't when they were in college. They were kind of robotic, but on the football field, I have seen nothing to say he can't be the guy. I feel like Manning's going to be a guy we talk about for many, many years. And when it's all said and done, he may not have the best season this year, but I think at the end of the day, Texas fans are excited. They're pumped, and you're right. There is no doubt in my mind he's the damn captain of that ball squad.
Yeah. All right. How about Alabama, Shane? That's who I got next. Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Been there a long time. He was a touted recruit himself. It's his time to shine, perhaps. Austin Mack was a transfer from Washington that followed Taylor DeBoer, who's very highly regarded for Washington when they signed him. And then the true freshman Keelan Russell, who our buddy Chris Marler said, he predicts Russell will be the starting quarterback for Alabama. And I didn't realize this until he said it. Highest rated quarterback Alabama has ever signed, Keelan Russell. So,
yeah,
again, we don't know if there's a standout one here, but I think there's 3 guys that could play, 3 guys that probably will play this fall. And the collection, maybe need to be a little bit higher, but I just don't know. I don't even know who QB1 is right now.
Well, and it's not fair, when you get used to you got used to Milroe, and Alabama was always at the top of these lists because of him. And so, yeah, there is some uncertainty. There's some question marks, but I think raw talent, Alabama may have one of the best rooms out there. So I don't know who's going to be taking that snap on the last week of this year, football season, but I can tell you that it's going to be geared better toward this offense. And right. I feel like there was a little bit of struggle. So I think when you get to the end of the season, you're going to say naturally there's more production just because it's matching what Kalen DeBoer wants to do down there.
Yeah, and I think you said it well there, Shane. I mean, if this doesn't work, it's on old DeBoering. These are two. There's 3 quarterbacks here. 2 of them he handpicked.
Yep.
So it's got to work. It's got to work. All right. How about, and I feel this is low, Shane. This is QB1. I love him. Arkansas. Taylon Green.
Yes.
KJ Jackson played a little bit last year as a freshman. Mm-hmm. So this will be year 2 for him. And then they just got a freshman, Grayson Wilson. So this is heavily leaned towards Taylon, of course.
Yes.
Or as Drake would call him, Taylon Green. But I think he's phenomenal. He just needs to be more consistent. And if he is, I'm probably doing a disservice to this quarterback room because it just like DJ Lagway, he's kind of carrying that room. Taylon Green could carry this room.
Yes.
If he just stop with the turnovers a little bit, but I got it. When I watch him play, I see some Vince Young to his game, and if he can unlock that ability, God, Arkansas is going to shock some people.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine a scenario where I tell you at the end of the year, Taylon Green was the best quarterback in the SEC?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like That's something Arkansas hasn't had in a long time. So this is a guy extremely high ceiling, and I felt like the floor was moving as the season progressed. So I think second year, this is when you got to watch. Second year, Petrino, this one could really open up, but for me, it's who's behind him. You know, he did get injured, so we may see some more backups coming in, and the depth is my concern. So, but I think you're spot on with Green here.
I think, and this was probably very bold. I love to say bold things, Shane. I think Taylor Green could be the highest quarterback taken in the draft whenever he comes out.
Yeah.
If, huge if, he's got to put it all together. But I think he's got that massive potential.
Yeah, you're just a guy that if he's on the football field can change. Like you get some of these quarterbacks, they're good for not screwing up. They're not good for giving up the game or the win or something like that. Taylor Green's one of those guys that just kind of gives you an extra 8 points to work with. Feels like sometimes.
Cousin John says people got to stop giving Arkansas hope. And
Come
Mike,
on,
because of Mike says he balled out against Tennessee, was clearly the best quarterback that day. So
yeah,
I agree with that. All right, now this one's cheating a little bit. You gonna get mad at this one, Shane?
I'm already mad.
I'm giving it to Ole Miss, and there's a lot of unprovenness here, Shane. Austin Simmons, who Ole Miss fans in the comments will tell you he's twice.
Did you see the Georgia game? Did you see the Georgia game?
Pierce Clarkson, a transfer. I don't even know who that is. And then AJ Maddox. So this is leaning on potential. This is leaning on Kiffin and his track record of, much like I said with Lebby, but we've seen more of Lebby's quarterbacks up to this point. So I may have this criminally underrated, but I can't imagine that Lane Kiffin has assembled a bad quarterback room, if that makes sense.
No, I would imagine that if anything, it's probably got one of the best. So yeah, I get the uncertainty, but you did see small sample sizes, and I feel like Ole Miss is going to be fine, whoever's back there, because Lane picked them.
Yeah. And then next, come on down, Vanderbilt. You ain't dead last in this league anymore. I love it. Diego Pavia, Drew Dickey, who's a guy they signed, and I think he's got potential. And Blaze, love this name, Blaze Berlowitz, Shane. So a lot of unknown.
A lot of cool names.
Heavily leaning towards Diego and what he can do. And people love to point out in the comments, he's overrated. He ain't what you make him out to be, yada, yada, yada. Well, he's just the ultimate football player. Yep. And he executes the system that is asked. And what is the system? It is essentially convert on third down and chew up the damn clock.
Yep.
And they did it masterfully last year in every one of their conference wins. So, I think Diego's awesome, and I'd put this team a little bit higher if I had more confidence in the backups.
Pavia is just a winner, and if you line him up with SEC quarterbacks, he's not going to be the fastest, he's not going to throw the furthest, he's probably not the most accurate, but he does find ways. It's almost magic to move the sticks, finds ways to chew up the clock, to win football games, to lead a football team. I think that's another thing when you're looking at great quarterbacks. It's not just statistically. It's like, what did you do? You kept that roster intact, man. You alone are the reason that a lot of these kids did not transfer out or go on to the NFL. So I think there's something to be said about that. So yeah, I'm a big believer in Pavia, and it's good to see Vanderbilt not at the bottom.
Yeah, and then this one, I may have totally missed the mark, Shane, but I don't know how you rate this room right now. Give me Auburn, Jackson Arnold.
Yep.
Ashton Daniels, another transfer from Stanford, I believe, who played pretty extensively at Stanford, but they were not very good. Deuce Knight, true freshman, but a 5-star. And then Tanner Bailey, another transfer. So a completely new room. Yeah. That's why I kind of got him low. And there's massive potential here. I mean, Jackson Arnold, I think he could be fantastic in his offense. He could. I keep repeating myself, but it's true. I mean, he could be a star. He could be a complete bust. I don't know. The truth is probably somewhere in between. And Deuce Knight, he might be. He was a guy that I want Cam Newton's jersey, and Cam said, "What?
Go
Hell
out there,
no.
and try.
Yeah, you got to earn that shit. You can't just have it. But that's the hype with this kid. So this could be the number one quarterback room in the SEC in 2-3 years. We'll look back and say, God, they had 2 Hall of Famers. But for the time being, I got to put this a little bit lower.
Anything with Hugh Freeze's name on it, Mike's out. So get out of here. No luck. I think Jackson is better than people say he is. I feel like a change of scenery is good for both Oklahoma and Jackson. But yeah, if the quarterback, if Deuce is, I mean, I don't know if he's even going to play, but
right,
the way it sounds, it's going to be tough to keep a guy like that off the field at least 3 or 4 games. So yeah, I'm pumped up about this room. I think the ceiling for me, the floor is also, that problem is the floor is pretty damn low because we've seen bad Jackson too. So
how about Cousin Mike says Jackson Arnold needs Freeze to take the blame 9 out of 10 times. He's never gonna live that down. You know what? Never.
Shit. Mike's on fire tonight.
All right, then you probably gonna get mad at this one. Georgia. I got Georgia all the way down here. Gunnar Stockton.
Yep.
Who I like. Ryan Puglisi.
Yep.
Who they say is amazing. So maybe he's a star. I don't know. And then Colin Drake. So I don't know. This sounds like a frat's coming to town or something. You know what I mean? So, and I know that's not Gunnar, but he drives a truck. Remember? But
yeah,
I don't know what to make of this room. I really don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rusty was pretty excited about this quarterback room and at least the quarterback race. And, you know, I would argue too, if Carson Beck were still there, let's say he came back, this probably would be number 2, if not number 1, as far as quarterback rooms, in my opinion. Now, you probably still have them at the bottom, but I think talent-wise, there's a reason that Georgia didn't go extra heavy looking for somebody in the portal. I think they like that room and they're ready for something different. And I think the quarterback contract, this is one spring game I wish we could watch because I'm interested to see how this plays out.
I think they're having one. I'm pretty sure I heard that, but
yeah, I've been told that before.
Right.
Then all of a sudden they're doing basketball shots.
Did they not want a transfer quarterback or could they not get one?
I think the checkbook was open, man, in my opinion. I mean, look at what they did get. They did spend some money and I felt like maybe there was 1 or 2 that they would like to have, but I don't think they had a dire situation that they needed to go out and fill a void. I think I think that quarterback room has got some talent, and this is one of those clearly unproven. But I feel like 2-3 years from now, you're going to look back at this Georgia room and say, damn, they had talent all along.
Mm-hmm. Well, A&M's got talent, but they're still down here, Shane. Marcel Reed, who I like. I thought he showed promise, but he's got a ways to go. They added Jacob Reno. I believe he's from UAB, a transfer, and Miles O'Neill. So that I believe Miles was a guy committed to Michigan. Remember, Michigan flipped the LSU guys, so then this guy jumped in. So that's the story there. But I don't know. I don't know how good Marcel Reed is this year will dictate this, but I say the same thing about Arch. I'm not just gonna give it to him. Marcel Reed's he's got to prove it to me.
Yeah. And Reed had moments, you know, I think of the LSU game. I think there was moments, and I always wonder, second year in that system, starting role all off season. I feel like that's going to help as well. So I maybe we're kind of poo-pooing his shot here right out of the gate, but I compare it to like Taylon Green. Taylon Green, I know what he can be, and I feel like Reed still needs some stuff unlocked to get to that next level. And that's why I'm kind of down. And then the rest of that depth, I'm not fond on either.
And fair or not, I not really counting receivers here, but their entire receiving room, aside from the true freshman Bussey, is back. So it's completely reworked. So how effective is a quarterback going to be? I don't know. I think that's a fair question. Speaking of effective quarterbacks, Shane. Oh man, they're gonna be pissed. They're gonna Shane ain't gonna like this. Mizzou, come on down. Oh, Bo, Prabula, I think I say that wrong every time. Sam Horn, who we've been hearing about for 6 seasons, seems like, but we've never actually seen him. And then Drew Pine, who, hell, he won him the Oklahoma game. We'll give him that. But there was other games he played in too. So I just don't know. I don't know with Mizzou. This could be a great room, but I remember when Brady Cook went down a couple months ago, Shane, and I was seeing articles. Shout out to Gabe over at Power Mizzou. It was like how we got here, and it was just failure after failure after failure of the quarterback room. And that doesn't mean these guys are failures, but it's been a rough go aside from Brady Cook for Old Mizzou.
Yeah, and again, similar to like in Alabama or Georgia, it's like you get used to a certain guy for a long period of time. What does that next chapter look like? And honestly, with what Mizzou wants to do, or it felt like they wanted to do, Brady was kind of handicapped. Literally. I mean, he was injured the entire time. So I feel like there's going to be this is a team that maybe is not getting the hype that they deserve in that quarterback room, but that's good. They're going to get all the respect. It's like we were talking about Ridgewood Barbecue. I tell you how good this guy is. I tell you how this good, then all of a sudden he has a subpar season. You're like, man, I told you they suck. But if you're shitting on them and then all of a sudden they come out here and win another 9-10 games, then all of a sudden you're like, man, and I feel like that's where we're at. Drink has always found something. Production. You mentioned receivers. I do love some of the guys that they, especially Coleman, the one that got here in the portal. So I feel like there are some pieces around those quarterbacks, but main thing for me is just mobility. We got a damn quarterback that can run in here, and I feel like that's going to help the system improve. And if Sam, I don't know if he finds the football field at some point and stays away from baseball, maybe we can get. It's 2 years ago we were talking about quarterback controversy with this guy. So I feel like this is a room that's just full of unproven folks right now.
I think you said it best, Shane. Lack of hype could be a good thing for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tried to give Drew Pine some respect for beating Oklahoma. Cousin Jimmy says, "Hell no, Jackson Arnold just lost that one."
He ain't lying. It felt like I was there.
All right, so dead last, the team we started with when we were talking football. Sorry about it, but Kentucky. Zach Calzada, incoming transfer. Cutter Boyle, he was a true freshman last year, back for a sophomore year. And I didn't even realize, Shane, they still got Bo Allen, who transferred in from Iowa. I think he transferred out. I guess he transferred back in. I thought his eligibility was up, but he's back. So at least we got Bo. But I have liked Calzada in the past, but
it ain't it.
If that's who you're turning to, I'm just not feeling too great about it.
No, Calzada he's had multiple shots here. I mean, the guy's been around for 14 years. Him and Tim Couts joined the league together. So I just think that
do you think they called TJ Finley?
I hope not. No, I hope so. I hope there was at least that conversation. Like, come on, one more time for the old Gipper. Brother, I feel like this is why we've been so down on Kentucky, is a lot of it to do with the lack of big stars. But sometimes that's what happens. A team starts with nobody and ends with somebody. So this may be the room that we missed out on the most. So 2025, I am not putting any money on it.
Hey, all right. Well, hey, that's all I got. What a comment to close out on here for Gunner. He says this new layout made me think it was Christmas. Just says jolly vibe over here.
Yeah. It's my little Christmas lights too. It's just adding to it.
All right. Well, hey, we went a little bit long. Anything else, buddy, before we hop off the line?
No. Let's get off here, watch some good basketball. I got to catch up on that, so don't ruin it for me. And I guess what is today? Thursday. We got some interviews coming up, man. Some pretty cool interviews. You're going to really enjoy those. Those will be dropping all weekend long, so be sure to have those notifications on. We are so freaking close to 30,000. Now's the time to steal someone's phone. I probably should have done that before Mike ripped your football team. You're probably unsubscribing now. But if you could find someone's phone and hit it, we are so damn close. And I'd like to see who does that 30,000th follow. I appreciate everybody for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Balls.
Hey, buddy, this beer's for you, Mike, and Cousin Shane. That SEC podcast loves the Pirate, and the Pirate loves that SEC podcast. Hail